We come to the last presentation of today. This is very interesting because as much as we've had a 15-year relationship with Dell here, this is a more recent relationship we've had with DB Schenker. It's about 2 years now, and you'll tell us about this, Gerold, but it's another angle from what's happening in the market. So what we'd like to do now is bring Gerold on stage. He's a Senior VP for Global Infrastructure at DB Schenker, and he'll be talking to us about the infrastructure they put in place to support data, to support innovation, but also very importantly about some of the projects they've been doing around some of the applications that they've been developing to be able to merge land, sea, transport, air transport, also being sure that their trucks are never empty when they're running around. And also, we will even see some first autonomous vehicles running around in the video there, which is quite impressive. So without further ado, could you please welcome to the stage Gerold Nagel.
So thank you very much for the introduction, and it's quite challenging after that inspiring presentation I've seen, but I'm taking that up. Good. Indeed, a different view now, different angle that I'm going to present here for the auditorium here. What is DB Schenker? Paved the way for data, that's how we call it from a typical infrastructure point of view. What can we do, what have we to do to support actually the transformation of our business to be ready for the next decades. And the pace of change we have seen, the pace of transformation, and that's actually the most interesting one, that is just getting higher and higher and higher. So a short introduction on myself, Gerold Nagel. I'm working with DB Schenker now for 4 years. I'm there and started to basically transform the infrastructure to adjust to our strategy for the future. Going into that, I want to show you a short overview about the company, DB Schenker, that you have an idea what it is about. I'm going in the parts, what we did from an infrastructure, actually, what we implemented to support this transformation, and then showing some concrete examples that we as a company actually implemented for our customers, with our customers, co-innovation, basically to get ready for the future. I do the company introduction the way with we call that purpose statement. That's basically the reason why we exist. That is the reason for our people, hopefully for everybody of our 70,000 employees around the globe to get up in the morning. So we advance businesses and lives by shaping the way our world connects. And I think that is an interesting point. It's a different way of connecting, but it shows that we are in the middle of shippers and carriers, that we are in the middle of producers and consumers, and that's what we have to connect in a very, very smart way. We can say we did it at last 100 years, 130 years, but again, it's changing quite rapidly, and that's what we are looking for. Coming to DB Schenker, just that's the only slide on figures. We are in the business of ocean freight, air freight. We are number 2 globally seen. We are extremely strong in land freight. We are market leader when it comes to land transportation. And we have also a very huge business, contract logistics, which is a lot in the area of edge computing very quickly, because that's where a lot of IoT stuff will happen soon. From a financial point of view, we are quite a healthy company. As we can see, we have a steady growth. The 2018 figures are not being disclosed yet, but I can tell you it's going further up, and we are a 17 billion company in the meantime, and we do deliver quite a significant EBIT. But overall, logistics business, supply chain management is a low margin business, so we are extremely cost driven. Now, how do we adjust our organization? And that's the complete organization around the globe to basically get the awareness in everybody's head that we have to change. I mean, there was a lot of transformation the last 100 years, from wheel carriers to trucks to aeroplanes, whatever. So there is a level of adjustment and transformation, but there is even more now coming. And I think the guarantee or the fact that we have been in market for over 100 years does not protect us to be secured for the next 100 years, or at least a few decades. So we kicked off a Primus strategy, that's how we call that, and I think it's quite important for everybody. So that was a global initiative, bring that towards every employee. We have basically 3 pillars. The Primus growth, where we address the top line growth. So that is essential that we get more and more volume in our network and get revenue and turnover generated. The Primus efficiency is part of the bottom line attack. So as I said, cost has to go down wherever. So whatever we do, we are very, very strong cost driven to increase the margin of only 2 to 3, 4, 5%. That's our target. And the Primus culture, under culture, that's what we implemented as well, and we consider this as important. This is the culture for innovation, the awareness of change readiness, the awareness and support for transformation, and also the culture, which also has some value behind that. Despite the pace, the pressure that is out there in the business, we want to have a fair understanding and values in the organization, which we call walk the talk, be one team with one goal, not in one country, not in one department against the other. Play fair, be honest. It's a very, very important part of our collaboration principles. Take customers further, push limits, and last not least, win together and enjoy the win. That's also part of our culture and should become the part of our culture. Sometimes we forget it. Our targets, I think we have seen it from Helmut yesterday, customer first, customer's first choice, that's what we want to be. When it comes to logistics services, we want to be the global market leader. We want to stay in the market and want to stay the market leader. Employer of choice, we know that. We only can achieve that if we really have the best employees all over. And the war of talent, I mean, it's more than a phrase. It's actually quite a challenge to get good people in the different areas that support us in this transformation. Digital value generator, sustainability champion. I think that's a part of the transformation. That's where we need to get in and get further improved. And of course, relentless productivity driver, not just for ourselves, our own margin, our own EBIT. We want to be that for our customers, because logistics business is overall a cost factor in any business that we have. Having said that, I'm coming to the next part. Now, what is the infrastructure contribution, or what was the infrastructure contribution over the last 3 years to basically support this transformation that we have to achieve from a business point of view? So how can we, or how did we support the way for the data, the way for digitization, the way for innovation? So there's a lot of cloud here, comes together with Edge as well, as I learned. Quite good. So the workplace, the data center, the network, those are the 3 topics that we fully addressed within the last 3 years. And just to show you where we are, we came from a workplace completely decentralized. We did not have a central management. We did have Windows 7, we found some XP stuff, we found some Windows 10. That is not a point how you can actually support a rapid change around the globe in the organization. So that's why we had to implement and provide, first of all, around the globe, getting the control on the endpoints, getting a control on the workplace, and providing a secure, standardized workplace, cloud-based, for our modern user. We actually call it the new mobility for our users. And there's a complete set behind that. So we attacked starting from a hardware lifecycle, hardware standardization to a certain extent, an application provisioning so that we can do on the spot, on the glance, application provisioning around the globe, getting together with a support concept and authentication against an Azure or cloud-based AD, so we do not want to have any kind of local infrastructure anymore. Of course, getting all the fancy stuff of Office 365 in the organization, starting with Exchange Online, OneDrive, SharePoint Online. That's the basic, but there's much more, and it's quite challenging from just getting technology to the point where actually our employees are embracing the features and functionalities they can have and getting even better. That's what we did and rolled out, but this is a key enabler and Slowly but surely, we're getting the feedback by a lot of users. They see the fancy possibility, not fancy, the actually opportunities for the business to improve the way how they act and collaborate with customers and internally. The next one, when it comes to data center, also very distributed heterogeneous environment. So we came up with a clear hybrid approach. Hybrid in many aspects, hybrid in, when it comes to technology, so cloud and on-premise, and also hybrid when it comes to management of those services, outsourced and insourced. It's just to show here, we do have on-premise solution in the different hemispheres, on-premise data centers, which is co-locations, where we have to support either the edge latency topic or legal topics, and that's getting more critical actually. And we have from a management, we have the so-called DB Schenker clouds and DB Systel clouds. DB Systel is an outsourced service provider, is a 100% subsidiary of our mother company, which is Deutsche Bahn, German Railway. So that's an outsourced component, whereas we have also, and that's a very, very clear strategy, that we build up sufficient know-how and operation capacities within Schenker to be more independent and be faster and more reliable. So the next one is the internet as the network, the change on the network, getting from the typical MPLS network also to the zero trust cloud-based security. We implemented Zscaler. What has been the challenges for us? First of all, we have 1,400 locations all over the globe in any country, so that's quite massive. The average size, just an average calculation, is roughly 50 employees per site, but it varies from 3 to 800, 1,200 people. And also the level of operation is indeed very different. So I was challenged with basically 4 main topics. The one is, of course, reducing the costs significantly. That was the first one. The second one was providing additional bandwidth. I mean, that is also, whatever we do, bandwidth consumption is getting higher and higher. I think we have seen that data transmission is massive. The third one is that we have to improve the user experience, so addressing the latency topic, addressing the access to the internet. And the fourth one is definitely the transmission and, not the transmission, the transition time, sorry, to really implement that, because we had to act very quickly. So based on those 4 criteria, I made basically a decision in the past 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to go from a classical MPLS network, not towards an SD-WAN. I actually went into a hybrid model, so MPLS plus the offload of the internet traffic. We did that on all the different sites, and that actually allowed us to fulfill those 4 criteria. So technology, user experience, bandwidth, cost reduction, and most important, the timeline. And that's where our joint journey started with OBS, and actually a very good and strong partner here. We had a tough start, I have to say, to get those 1,400 locations migrated. But as we can see here, we have been able to migrate 1,400 locations within 15 months from 1 provider to 2 providers. The majority is with OBS. That's the one part. Changing on the same token the technology, changing the complete organization, doubling the bandwidth, and actually reducing the cost significantly. And that's is something that drove us. That was also clear why there's no SD-WAN as an option or alternative available to do all those criteria in that short time frame. So an amazing job by the team. I think it was hard, but it was delivered in time, so very good. Now, that was the infrastructure topic, endpoint, network, data center topic. Now, what is actually the company, our company doing that, using that for enabling the digitization, co-innovation, and improvement with our customers? So I have basically 5 examples here, and there's by far more, which we implemented, which we created, which we offer as a product now to our customers. And that's what I'd like to share. It's complete different areas that we have. The first one I want to go into is our IoT platform. We are at IoT. That's a small gadget, which you can see, but IoT is definitely more. than just that. These small devices allows us to stick to any cargo, to any parcel, to any container, to any vessel or whatever. Actually allows us to track shipment. So nothing new, right? Tracking shipment, seeing where it is, geofencing, all that stuff, temperature control, pressure control, whatever you want, you name it, we can do that. But indeed, that is not enough. What we want to do and what we actually want to achieve with that is coming from a pure visibility level, which is basically a given, getting into the transparency. So we want to understand what happened and why did it happen. We want to go one step further, and we want then, if something happens, predict also the impact on the supply chain for our customers. And that's now exactly the point. IoT is a sensor. Now, the combination with artificial intelligence actually allows us going from predictability into adaptability. So that's where we generate value. How do we act on that? And not just tell me something went wrong. This doesn't really help. We want to go by far further. That is a kind of a service we offer now for our shipments. We offer to customers or for any other business case. The advantage of Schenker, my boss calls it unfair advantage. We are in the logistics business. We are able to get these gadgets when they are not used anymore, back and forth to any location in the world again. I mean, that is also an important part. It's not just the technology to make it visible and available, but also to have them at a point where you need them. Just some screenshots, you see geofencing, you see all the parameters of your shipment. That's quite important for high-value pharmaceutical or whatever. So whenever you have use cases, we are looking here also for co-invention. We are looking for business cases with customers, with partners. There's a lot of potential behind that if you see what you can do combined with artificial intelligence. Next one is data analytics. So we want to get also in a data-driven company. Logistics company are not doing anything else than using data to ship from A to B, a big topic. So we started to build up a department for data analytics, data strategy. We started 18 months ago, between 18 and 24 months. So we have a team together with 26 people in the area of data scientists. And it's quite amazing. It takes some time. It takes some time to get an acceptance. So you use the data, you digest it, and you come up with a smart proposal. But now, why should a forwarder, doing all his decision the last 100 years by himself, based on experience, based on whatever, now trust those figures? So that's a long way to actually go into that. And that's why we ramped it up. And we had some examples I show here. One of the first ones that we actually started implementing was the churn radar. So what kind of information can we use to see how is the behavior of our customer and where we need to get into? And even myself was saying at a first point, if you look at that topic, then we have a problem anyway if you don't know which customer is on the edge of leaving us. But indeed, there's so much information that you can use that you actually can bring into the sales team and address that and avoid that people change providers. So that was a door opener for many of our business departments. And we're now looking into further. Another example where we have an MVP at the moment is the ocean pricing, a very up and down business, managing capacities. So artificial intelligence contributes by far more than we expected, or a lot of our management expected, because it's more fact-based than just experience and gut feeling. Another one which we build up is the Schenker. I think that is our combination, our portal, where we put everything together when it comes to supply chain management, transparency, tracking, whatever. There can be customer integration, again, very open, co-innovation, and partnership with our customers and partners. So we are not anymore in our small world. We are actually connecting businesses. That's what we want, and that's what we do with those kind of things. Another one, Connect 4.0, that's basically the newest one, and that's the digital forwarding. And now I have to say, whoever is in the forwarding business or might have heard, it's a kind of an old-fashioned business, very strong paper-driven. fax, telephone calls, a lot of individual interaction. And now we built this new platform, which is completely electronic, easy to use, a platform for our customer without intervention. We integrated carriers, we integrate shippers. So whatever is needed, that is now the newest part and changes the way how we do forwarding. I think it can be the easiest way to compare it is basically the online services of banks, and that's what we believe is a strong protection against disruption. I show you and run a short video just to get a flavor how that looks like. Thank you. So I hope I could give you a flavor how forwarding, how logistics business will change and does change. The ease of use is essential. The complexity behind is pretty high of integration. It's carrier integration, it's port authority integration, it's customs at a certain point if you want to get reliable and really full end-to-end functionality delivered to our customers. Now, you have seen that, that's more on the, let's say, on the soft side, but with the cargo, there's also a second component. There is either vessels, trains, aeroplanes, or trucks being needed. And the next case of co-invention and partnership that we do is actually in the trucking business. So everybody might be aware or not, the trucking business is basically the biggest challenge is finding drivers. There are no drivers available anymore. Nobody wants to drive any trucks. So the autonomous driving, which was, when it was mentioned in the first days, kind of, oh, we're losing all jobs, is actually probably the only chance to survive in that context. So we are looking into something which we call is a T-pod, so autonomous driving truck, which can carry 25 tons without any driver cabin anymore. That is one of the projects we are running. I show you that. Another one that we have is also platooning. So, you know, one truck after the other with one driver. We are running that on a pilot in Germany between Munich and Nuremberg. So that's on a highway We actually run those trucks already, platooning, that's allowed, still 2 drivers in the trucks, but we are close to get also the second driver out of the truck. And this one here is something, Teapot. It's a company in the Nordics, Einride, that we cooperate with. And we actually use that. So that's a complete autonomous truck, 0 carbon footprint because it's completely electric driven. And that's where we are very proud on. Together with Einride and Schenker, jointly we got a clearance to run that truck now on a real life street and actually drive cargo from A to B. Still a pilot distance. It's not that long, it's only 15 kilometers, but it's first time that an autonomous truck is driving in the world cargo completely autonomous. And just flavor how it looks like. Good, so that's basically what I wanted to present, how infrastructure helps, how we can pave the way for innovation. If you have any further questions, feel free, my contact details, I'm around here. I'm happy to go into that later on then. Thank you very much.